Hey everybody, Sneaky Narcotic, back at it again with another YouTube video, and in today's video we're going to be going over some more Ikoria spoilers. Before we get into today's video, let me please ask you guys to like, share, and subscribe. It would mean so much to me and I would greatly appreciate it. But without further ado, let's get into our first spoiler of the day with Kinnan Prodigy. 1 green, 1 blue, legendary creature human druid, and it is a mythic rare. Whenever you tap a non-land permanent for mana, add 1 mana of any type that permanent produced. Pay 5 generic, a green, and a blue. Look at the top 5 cards of your library. You may put a non-human creature card from among them onto the battlefield. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. And it is a 2/2 for 2. So this card is actually pretty neat. My buddy actually mentioned to me today this is part of the legendary human cycle, and so it's interesting to see this match up with the next legendary human that's right after this. But I like that it basically asks for mana dorks to be abused by giving it the ability when a mana dork basically taps a whenever you tap a non-land permanent. Oh, that could be even Soul Ring. Or actually, I'm sorry, add 1 mana of any type that permanent produced. So yeah, it could be Soul Ring, because Soul Ring can produce generic mana, and so it would be an extra generic mana. You being able to pay 7 mana when you can literally double up on mana dorks here to put a non-human creature card from among them onto the battlefield, yeah, that's pretty good too. Because honestly, in Simic, you're not going to be playing a lot of humans. Like, this might honestly be the only human you play in Standard. As far as in Commander, using this as your commander, it's the same rule. You're probably not going to play more than this 1 human in your Simic Kinnan Prodigy deck. Here's some cards to think about. First one being Incubation Druid. And this is just one to show that you can obviously produce the 1 mana from Incubation Druid, 2 with Kinnan, 3 if you have a +1/+1 counter on Incubation Druid, 4 with Kinnan also still out. Leyline of Abundance. This helps so much towards the Leyline of Abundance deck that kinda is currently in Standard. It really focuses on mana dorks as is, and helps you use Leyline of Abundance just to make your mana dorks huge. So definitely a food for thought there. And of course, Heartstone. So Heartstone, and a couple other cards, not just Heartstone helps you, if you have Kinnan as your commander, get the activated ability to be a little less, and it actually adds up if you're triggering it multiple times per turn. So yeah, I think altogether these cards will go swimmingly together and definitely make a pretty cool commander deck. The next creature today is Winota, Joiner of Forces. 2 generic, a red, and a white for a legendary creature human warrior. It is mythic rare. It says whenever a non-human creature you control attacks, look at the top 6 cards of your library. You may put a human creature card from among them onto the battlefield tapped and attacking. It gains indestructible until end of turn. Put the rest of the cards on the bottom of your library in a random order. And it is a 4/4 for 4. So, first off, it's human, so that's pretty good for human tribal. Second off, it's a warrior, and there is a warrior tribal. But primarily, you're going to want to put some humans out there. So, the number one thing I thought of, especially when I saw that this creature was white, is a hate bear deck. For those that don't know, there are these so-called hate bears. Basically, it's a tax or stacks deck that uses these little tiny, sometimes human creatures to just kind of dirtle the game out. And so that's basically what I thought of with this. Type Taker, Thalia, Tocatli Honor Guard, because then you can bring them out. Yeah, they're attacking and maybe they take something out, but they also are indestructible, so they stick around and is basically like casting them for free. So hopefully you're able to get Winota out, protect Winota because she doesn't gain indestructible, and get your creatures out that way. Other than that, guys, help me out in the comment section down below. What other human creatures can you think of? Whenever a non-human... Oh, excuse me, I'm sorry. It's not when she herself attacks. It's whenever a non-human creature you control attacks. But yeah, let me know what y'all think about this card, because I was kind of blanking on this card other than just putting hate bears in there. Our next card is Unpredictable Cyclone, and it's 3 generic, 2 red. The most beautiful picture I've ever seen in a long time by my new favorite artist, Noah Bradley. It is an enchantment, and it is a rare. If a cycling ability of another non-land card would cause you to draw a card, instead exile cards from the top of your library until you exile a card that shares a card type with the cycled card. You may cast that card without paying its mana cost, then put the exiled cards that weren't cast this way on the bottom of your library in a random order. And of course, it itself has cycling for 2 generic. Now, primarily, I was thinking of this in terms of Commander, so I apologize if you thought about this in Standard. I'm sure cycling will be cool in Standard, but here's some cool things you can do with cycling in Commander. Omniscience. So it doesn't matter how much mana it costs, so you can literally turn 6 Omniscience off of Unpredictable Cyclone if you can set it up. Another card is Approach of the Second Sun. Just being able to cast that card. Now, of course, you're going to have to cast the second one from your hand, but it still cast it for the first time. So yes. Yes, okay, I'm sorry. I had to double check my reading of Approaching the Second Sun there. And on top of that, gaining you 7 life every single time you play Approach of the Second Sun is pretty good. Again, you'll have to set it up by having cycling a sorcery. So hopefully you can set it up that way. The last card I want to mention, I actually did play against a Reality deck, and they were using New Perspectives and totally kicked my butt by having all cycling cost equals 0. So yeah, that was pretty good. It was really good. So I think New Perspectives is definitely a card to watch out for when you're sitting here cycling cards to get other cards for 0. So yeah, definitely. Our next card is Whirlwind of Thought. It is 1 generic, a blue, a red, and a white for an enchantment rare that says, whenever you cast a non-creature spell, draw a card. This is great, especially for Commander, because most of the time you're playing Jeskai, you're not going to be playing creatures, at least in my experience. In Standard, there's going to be this Jeskai control that this will really go great in, but in Commander, most every Jeskai deck that I've come across is a spell slinger or a non-creature spell deck. For instance, I've seen Jace's Sanctum in Commander to help with this. Especially in like a Kaikar deck, I've seen Jace's Sanctum. And this card would probably help a lot with Jace's Sanctum, because whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, you can scry 1. Then, whenever you cast a non-creature spell, you can draw a card. So that would go really good because you can scry to make sure your draw is good. The next card is Narset, because Narset does say exile the top 4 cards of your library when you attack with her. And so end of turn, you may cast those non-creature cards exiled with Narset. So you can get 4 different draws off of Narset and Light Master for free. Another card is Niv Mizzet Piran, just because in the Niv Mizzet deck, and of course you can't have Niv Mizzet as the commander, but in a Jeskai Spellslinger deck that has Niv Mizzet, you can sit there, deal with some damage, draw cards. Every single time that you draw a card, you're dealing damage. And every single time that you're casting a non-creature spell, aka a instant or sorcery with Niv Mizzet, you're drawing 2 cards. And you're dealing 2 damage. And it's pretty good. It's really good. So definitely think this card is going to be amazing. Keep an eye on this card. Our next card is Slitherwisp. For 1 blue and 2 black mana, it is a creature elemental nightmare. Ooh, elemental nightmare. It is a rare, has flash. Whenever you cast another spell with flash, draw a card, and each opponent loses 1 life. So it's kind of weird because in standard right now, flash isn't Simic. So with this expansion, it's actually going to be Sultai Flash, and it's interesting because look at some of the cards that, or one of the cards that also came in this set, Cunning Nightbonder. Spells with flash you cast cost 1 less to cast and can't be countered. So Slitherwisp can't be countered. Brazen Borrower, can't be countered. Used in the Simic Flash deck already, helpful, pretty good card. And then Frilled Mystic can't be countered, but can counter target spells. So yes, I'm loving this whole being able to draw cards and ping, or I guess, pinging an enemy for 1 life, while also just absolutely wrecking them with non counterable spells. So yes, I do love this new idea of Sultai Flash. Our next card is Immaculate Ultimatum. 2 blue, 3 red, and 2 white. Yes, that is quite the cost. For a sorcery rare that says target player gains 5 life, Immaculate Ultimatum deals 5 damage to any target, and then you draw 5 cards. So that's pretty insane, but here's some interactions that will be even more insane. Niv Mizzet Piran. So you, with Niv Mizzet Piran, you gain 5 life, you deal, let's go with the draw. You draw 6 cards, and you deal 6 damage. That's pretty good. Here's another one. What if you had Niv Mizzet Piran out and you had Ral Storm Conduit out at the same time? And you -2 and you did 2 ultimatums back to back. That's drawing 10 cards. Drawing 11 cards, dealing what is that? That's 1/2 off of Ral. That is 11 damage off of Niv Mizzet. And then that's 5 damage there. So that is altogether 18 damage. 18 damage. That is insane and possibly game changing. I really love the idea of Jeskai Spellslingers, especially in standard right now. And even though Niv Mizzet is primarily Izzet colors, there's some cards coming up soon that will help you get Niv Mizzet out fairly easily. Let's see if those are these cards. They are. Okay, so these are Triome lands, and Triome lands are 3 colored lands, like it says, that enter the battlefield tapped, sure, but also have cycling for 3. So this is Ketria Tirome, and it is Temur colored. Nowhere on Ikoria are monsters more integral to the landscape than Ketria, where the river itself will stand up and roar. Then you have Raugrin, at least that's how I think you say it, Tirome, and it is a land this is the cool part about these Triumph lands, is that they're 3 basic land types. Now, it's not basic, it's 3 land types, I should say. Island, Mountain, Plains for a Jeskai. Raugrin Tirome enters the battlefield tap, cycling, of course. Raugrin meets the sea with jaws wide, its coast spiked with teeth of crystal and granite. Yes. I know it's a little late in the game to say this, but I just thought of this while I was going over the cycling ability. I do have a video, and I'll leave it in the comment section down below. If anybody is confused on these Ikoria mechanics, I go over in the most simplistic way how the mechanics work in that video. So go check it out right now in the comment section down below, or in the description box down below. I will have that video for you. Savai Tirome, this one being Mardu colors. And by the way, these are not all the tricolors. These are the wedges, and I think the others are called shards, assuming that the shards will come eventually. But these are considered Triumph lands as far as Wizards has put out on Twitter. Broad prairies feed the Inman Sanctuary of Drenith and conceal a network of caverns where giant cats make their dens. Mardu cats, okay. Zagoth Tirome. This is Sultai. Hunters in the primeval wetlands become fluent in reading the ripples to tell when to pursue and when to flee. Ooh, that sounds awesome. And the last one, and my personal favorite art-wise, excuse me, Indatha Triome. Indatha Triome is actually Abzan colored. These lowlands were formed thousands of years ago by the behemoth Indatha. Its final footsteps before vanishing into the sea tells of the Ozolith. So yes, very cool, these Tri-lands. Here's some things to think about when looking at the Tri-lands. Before I get into the actual cards, I want to mention one that I forgot to mention, and that is fetch lands will actually fetch these Triumphs. So, yeah, expect your fetch lands to go up. Gaia's a bounty. There's some cards out there that tutor up for lands, but specifically for non-basic, but a specific type of land. For instance, Gaia's bounty, search your library for up to 2 forest. Well, Indatha Triome and another wedge land, I believe this one here, Zagoth Tirome, are both forest, so you can get both of them, and that's pretty good because that's quite the amount of different colors that you can tap for on the next turn. I did mention. No, I'm sorry. This is the Buddy land, the Czech land. Sunpetal Grove enters the battlefield tapped unless you control a forest or a plains. Well, Indatha Triome is a forest and a plains, so it comes in untapped twice. New perspectives. Of course, anytime I think of cycling, I'm going to think of this new perspectives card from now on. I did get my butt beat by a cycling deck for playing new perspectives. It was insane. And then of course, Nestle Who Shakes the World. So this is a colored land, but it's also a forest. So whenever you tap a forest in Indatha Triome for a green mana, add an additional green mana. So there will be cards that give you payoffs like that for tapping a specific land type. And I really dig the Triumphs. I do. I haven't actually checked TCG Player to see how much they are yet, but I assume they're at least $10. They're not as useless as the Temples. Quote unquote useless. I like the Temples, but a lot of people don't. So I really think this is going to be cool. And having tricolored lands in Standard shows that Wizards really wants us to start pushing into tricolored decks. And personally, I tried not to go into tricolors, but recently, especially with 2 types of dual lands, and now Triomes, I'll probably be pushing into more tricolors, maybe even quadruple colors, depending. That's going to be a little difficult, and in IRL, it's going to be a little bit of an investment. So hopefully we find a way around it. Our next card, Flame Spill. 2 generic and a red instant uncommon. Flame Spill deals 4 damage to target creature. Excess damage is dealt to that creature's controller instead. I don't put cards up for the uncommons, but I do want to mention the idea of this card with the Red Lord from Throne of Eldraine that deals extra damage. So any card that basically says a red source deals extra damage or sources you control deal extra damage, Flame Spill is going to spill it over to that creature's controller as well. So that's going to be pretty cool. Probably going to end up in the mono red deck because of that. So we'll see. Fragile Floating Sky Cell suddenly seemed like an appealingly safe place to live. Alright. Regal Leosaur. 1 red, 1 white, creature dinosaur cat. A dinosaur cat. That's really cool. Uncommon mutate. 1 generic and 2 hybrid mana of red or white. Whenever this creature mutates, another creature you control gets +2/+1 until end of turn. That's kind of cool. A 2/2 for 2. That can... I don't want to say anthem your creatures, but basically beef all your creatures at once. It's okay. It's okay. Lead the Stampede. 2 generic and a green. Sorcery uncommon. Look at the top 5 cards of your library. You may reveal any number of creature cards from among them and put the revealed cards into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. This card will be playable forever in green in any format, and this is why. A lot of times when it comes to green, you're trying to do filtering because it doesn't have a lot of card draw. If it does, it's a very niche card draw. So right now, Lead the Stampede would be considered card draw, but it's also filtering. And being able to get those numbers lower in your deck is really good. Normally you would want to land filter, but if you're getting creatures in your hand and you're playing a land-centric deck, and yes, there will be some land-centric decks, especially with Zendikar and possibly Landfall coming back in October, there will be land-centered decks, so filtering out your creatures from those land-centered decks, if I don't trip over my own words here, will be essential. Yet alone basically drawing possibly 5 cards in green is pretty good for 3 mana, even at instance, or even at sorcery speed. Pretty good. Easy Prey. 1 generic, 1 black, instant uncommon. Destroy target creature with converted mana cost 2 or less, and has cycling for 2. The definition of bite-sized treat depends on who you ask. So, this card's okay, I guess. It kind of reminds me of Fatal Push, but it's not Fatal Push. And for those that stuck around for Fatal Push in Standard, you guys remember how toxic Fatal Push was, so I'm glad it's not. But at the same time, I wish this card would do more. I do love that the flavor text says bite-sized treat depends on who you ask. And if you ask the human, that creature in the front looks like a bite-sized treat. But if you ask the dinosaur in the very, very background, bite-sized treat is that human. So, very cool. Very cool. Our last card of the day is Porcuparrot. This is a really weird creature and honestly art. I love Chris Seaman. Ooh, Chris Seaman. 3 generic, a red, creature, bird, beast, uncommon. Mutate, 2 generic and a red. Tap. This creature deals X damage to any target where X is the number of times this creature has mutated. And it is a 3/4. So, really, I don't have much to say about the ability. It's kind of lackluster, but the art is pretty cool. I've never seen like a parrot beast before. That's it's pretty cool. I like it. I do. And the quills as a part porcupine, part parrot, pretty cool. But anyways, guys, that is going to do it for today's video. Thanks for watching. I do apologize for it being a shorter video. They didn't put out as many as I thought they would today, but I thought I'd go ahead and get these out, talk about the Triomes. Let me know, in fact, how you feel about the Triomes in the comments down below. Leave me a comment, leave me a like, leave me a subscribe, do all that usual YouTube stuff. And this is Sneaky Narcotic, signing off.